In lieu of recent events in the abolition world, I've invited Frederick Douglass to go to dinner tonight so we can resolve our differences. I think it's best if two of the more prominent figures in our cause can unite to help the cause.
So I'm going to dinner with William Lloyd Garrison. He invited me. I'm assuming it's because Abraham Lincoln just got elected president. So there's lots of tension going in the abolition world. I'm not really sure how this is going to go.
You see, Frederick Douglass used to be one of my many contributors in my anti-slavery newspaper, The Liberator. He used to write editorials and the fans loved it. It's one of the most famous abolition newspapers. Then one day he stopped writing in it to write his own newspaper, The North Star. And we haven't really spoken since then. That's really when all the fighting started.
So I used to write letters or editorials to his newspaper, The Liberator. The fans loved my writing so much I started my own newspaper, and that's why he doesn't enjoy my presence anymore. It's been 12 years.
It's not the only reason I was mad at him. Frederick and I used to get along so well, and we worked together, and we had very similar views about abolition and how to abolish slavery and all that. But then one day he just switched his views to be the complete opposite of what we believed in. He's such a hypocrite, and so yeah, we don't get along now.
I just thought that the Constitution protected slavery, but then I came to realize that I don't think that. Just Garrison thinks that. I don't think that. That I think slavery, the compromises in the Constitution, they're not going to last. Slavery is unconstitutional, and Congress has the power and right to abolish it, just like the Liberty Party thinks.
Contrary to what Douglass now believes, the Constitution does not have the right to abolish slavery. We need a new Constitution. This Constitution protects the rights of white men to own other men as property, and that is not acceptable. We must burn it and start a new one. I do not understand why Frederick thinks what he does, but
I disagreed about John Brown's raid on Harper's Ferry. I used to be a pacifist like Garrison, but then after that I realized how far some white men are willing to go for the abolitionist cause, and I supported his actions, and I really thought that nonviolence wasn't the way to go anymore, and that I support the idea of defensive wars. Don't want to go to this dinner.
I'm a firm believer in the idea that nonviolence is the best way to fight for our cause. Unlike Douglass, apparently. Oh, where is he? I knew he wasn't going to come. I knew he didn't want to see me. After all these years, I just knew he didn't want to talk to me. Oh, hello, Mr. Douglass. Long time no see.
Hi. So, why am I here?
Frederick, I know we had our falling out, but we need to just get over it. We need to get along for the sake of our cause. If we don't get along, then it's just gonna fracture the abolitionists. Remember how good we were together? We used to host abolitionist rallies together. You would write for my newspaper. All we did for women's rights. We were unstoppable together.
Fine, I guess we can put our differences aside for the sake of the movement.
We haven't really talked in 12 years. I mean, that was before the Compromise of 1850 and the Fugitive Slave Act, and then the Dred Scott decision and everything, the Kansas-Nebraska Act. I mean, a lot's going on. I think we haven't talked about it.
Personally, being an escaped freed slave in the North, I think that the Fugitive Slave Act was one of the worst things that have ever happened to this peculiar institution. Being in the North and being free, and then all of a sudden slave catchers are legally allowed and supposed to catch you and put you back into slavery. That's not right. That's evil.
I agree, and this is such a divisive issue between the North and the South. I mean, it only further splits us in our differing views from them. And if the Constitution is going to protect slavery, then the Union needs to be dissolved between the North and South. And we need a new Constitution. There can be no union with slaveholders.
I don't necessarily want war, but I believe that it's the only way we'll get what we want. We might need to have a defensive war in order for immediate emancipation of all slaves, which I know is exactly what you want. You being such a radical reformer, I would think you would support that.
Why don't we do what the women's rights advocates are doing and continuously protest and hold rallies? Moral suasion and nonviolence, I believe, are the only tactics we could and should use to fight for abolition. You know, Frederick, I'm a big pacifist. That's why I didn't agree with John Brown's raid on Harper's Ferry.
That will take forever. If we want immediate emancipation now, we have to strike while the iron is hot.
I agree. And while I do not think war is the answer, now is the abolitionist time. On this subject, I do not wish to think or speak or write with moderation. I am in earnest. I will not equivocate. I will not excuse. I will not retreat a single inch, and I will be heard.
And the lack of rights that women have these days is unbelievable. I mean, you must agree with me on that, since you are on the Women's Rights National Committee and all.
And hey, I never asked you, how was the Seneca Falls Convention? I was unable to go that day, but I know you were there.
Yes, and it was a great event for women's rights. And not that we were there, but it was kind of reminding me of the World Anti-Slavery Convention, except for the fact that at Seneca Falls, everyone was welcome, as opposed to the Anti-Slavery Convention, where women were kicked out.
Yeah, that was unbelievable, wasn't it? I mean, look at what a big help women have been for our cause. Elizabeth Cady Stanton, Lucretia Mott, they have been a major help in our fight, as we should be in theirs. See? They don't need to go to war to fight for their cause.
We do. I mean, look at slavery right now. The Founding Fathers may have intended for slavery to be short-lived, but it clearly isn't. Just look at the Dred Scott decision. It literally stripped all blacks of their freedom, even free blacks. It was a major setback.
I know. That is why we need to use moral suasion and nonviolence to convince people that slavery is wrong. That's what I do in The Liberator, and it is working to rally more and more Northerners to our cause.
Let me ask you a question. So, white men are allowed to go to war for their independence, but black men aren't?
That's not what I mean. Don't call me a hypocrite. That's the pot calling the kettle black. Considering how one day you believe that the Constitution protects slavery, and the next you think that slavery is unconstitutional.
So we're back to this again? You're just angry at me because I left The Liberator to start my own paper, which is better than yours, by the way.
Oh yeah? Inviting you here was a mistake. Why did I ever believe that we could get along again for the sake of abolition?
I'm out of here. Thanks for buying me dinner.
Do we even eat?